Thanks for coming. I have been to the basement. Nothing like the sound of a working SID chip. Oh, yeah. Oh. Ooh. And also nothing like trying to get one very tight diagnostic cartridge out. I hear things falling. Oh, holy crap. I know. I know things gotta be snug. There we go. Okay. Peace and harmony have been restored, I think. So, I was in the basement, and I was having a go at going through boxes, and indeed, I found a box. Many boxes, of course, but this one in particular is full of disk drives. If my memory serves me correctly, it was a 1571, a 2031 low profile, and 4 1541s, I think, and a 1571. So, it's kind of dirty. I haven't had it turned on. I don't know what to expect, but it is now plugged in. Let's see what happens. Well, that sounds pretty fair. Oh, I seem to have forgotten to move some chips. Also, in the basement, I found a brown dust cover. And it, of course, is dusty. And it is for the MPS 801 printer. Although, of course, it just on here says 801 printer. I'll find it later. Okay, so I see. Oh. Ow. Something plugged in here. I should not. Oh, everything. There we go. It's harder. Oh, okay, so we will take the standard 1541 test demo disc. Oh, and it is loading. Imagine. Now this, of course, is not a be-all. Why is this keyboard bouncing? Keyboard bouncing. Okay. Yeah, I don't have the screws in this 64. What I do have is a blank test disc. Now, what I really should do eventually is connect this up to a Commodore 128. So, I suppose if I'm going to load the performance test from the test demo disc, I need to press return. And it has loaded. The 1571 is quite, there we go, quite a remarkable drive. Of course, it was made to go with the Commodore 128, but of course it was backwards compatible with the Commodore 64. But on the 128, it is double-sided. It loads and does things a whole lot faster, and also, not that I ever did it, and I'm sure somebody did somewhere, but it was also the 128 would work with CPM. It could, it would, it did. And I remember the answer I got from the fellow who was really involved in getting T-Pug up and really going. It ran out of his basement, not his basement, his garage for a long time. Chris Bennett, when he was at the CES show, he said, you know, why CPM? And basically he was told $5. In other words, to make it do its thing and work with CPM, it added $5 to the cost of the machine. And they thought this would be good. It's funny because, I think things are happening. Okay, things are happening with this test. Because in the grand scheme of things, 128 mode was far better than 64 mode. It had 40 columns, it had 80 columns, and more memory, and a much better basic. But a lot of people, because there wasn't nearly as many programs for the 128 in 128 mode, ended up using the 64 mode. So the 128, which had 3 modes, 128, 64, and CPM, ended up getting mostly used as a 64. And here we have a magical drive. As I say, it would need some cleaning up, and I should hook it up to a 128 to give it a go. But at the moment, it seems quite fine. It does. Unfortunately, what I don't have right here is all my ways to document what I've done. Or wait, what is this? Oh, look. Oh, no. Oh, good. This fell off a 64. It's his basement find. January 21. Will not access. Oh, right. Yeah. Won't access 1541. Gee. I wonder which one it was. I don't know. Anyway, this has passed the performance test. Seems to still be spinning now. Oh, now it stopped. So, let's see if there's anything else on this VIC 1541 test demo disc that might be helpful. Besides, of course, you know, maybe I should put a screw in this thing so it's not bouncing. What do we have? What do we have? This performance test, I think, has extra things on it. Well, 2 things with the same name, which is not supposed to be possible. And other things I wrote about how to test something. Oh, a 4040. I think what I was looking for, lost list. What I was looking for went away. I'm going to load RTC Supercopy, made by Richfield Telecommunications, where you can buy a Commodore computer or a new element for your stove. But as much as sometimes some people made perhaps fun of the fellow who owned RTC, which is Peter Smith, usually when they made something, it may not have been the most cosmetically beautiful, magical thing, but it worked well. Alright, let's see what we have here. We're going to run this. We are going, okay, so this allows catalog, format, backup, copy files, scratch files, rename file, check drive speed. Let's try that. Oh. Source or disk? Well, it's the source. Oh. Place unwanted disk in drive. Yeah, I don't want this disk. Press any key to continue. So it seems the RPM is right around 309. Okay. Now, I think that this works. Entire disk or allocated blocks. Allocated blocks. We will put this in. And just for fun, we'll let it do its thing. We shall. You know, I really like the 1571. Really, I think, if I'm not mistaken, they did make a 1571-2, which had the separate power supply and was smaller, like the 1541-2. And they were okay too. And certainly with an external power supply, if something went wrong, you know, you could just get another power supply instead of having, like, the internal one was much more involved. But anyway, I always liked the styling of, like, you know, the fact that they were faster, the fact that they worked better. They were finicky at times. I remember when I was in Florida, long ago, sometimes some of the wires would come off the upper head. And it, oh, that's the destination disk, yes. Anyway, so some of the, let's see if this works. Anyway, yes, some of the, there are, I believe, 4 tiny wires. And I didn't have to do this often, but I did end up having, maybe once every couple of weeks or once every month or so, someone would come in and I would work by magic to reattach the wires and get it working again. Never had one not recover. Today, I'm sure that I would need to use my quadfocal glasses to even have a chance at something like that. There are tiny wires, and it takes a very delicate touch with the solder. Very delicate. Anyway, I'm pleased that this 1571 appears to be working. It's, yes. I suppose in some ways it's like Christmas when you open up a box and say, hey, look, disk drives. Mind you, I didn't move the box all together. It was too heavy, so I took everything out. And I will test things. And sooner or later, probably sooner than later, but not too soon, but not too late, I will probably start putting things like this up for sale. I will, of course, take a magic eraser to the top of this, where it does seem to have, well, not horrible damage, just the dirt of the ages. Yes. So this could be go. We're back to the source disk. This, by the way, is not the fastest way to copy, but when you only have one disk drive, it is the way. That is the way. That's all there is. So, of course, like all pretty much Commodore drives that I can think of, there are 2 serial ports in the back. So you can daisy chain and hook up lots. And we who ran bulletin boards appreciated all of that, because oftentimes we would end up with the biggest drives we could have and the most of them. And sometimes that ended up being a hard drive, like the Lieutenant Colonel here, which I still haven't tested yet. And sometimes it would be a 9060 or 9090, or an 8250 or an 8050 or a 4040. And yes, even though we are running on Commodore 64s, the interfaces that came out that allowed us to use our very expensive disk drives on our Commodore 64s were greatly appreciated. Greatly. So, it is reading. Thankfully, I told it. Oh, well, that we should only do the blocks that are allocated. So that means, of course, it will only copy the blocks that have something in it. At least that is the plan. If you do the entire disk, it just does the whole thing. So I guess this would be called a BAM copy. And the BAM is the block allocation map. And that's what keeps track of what's where and what's on the disk. And if the BAM goes bad, this is the reason, of course, that we make backups. Or we should. So this is chugging along. This drive seems quite happy. And that is always a good thing. Always. Okay, so, but we're not done yet. Back to the source disk. Indeed. But I would like to think, because I didn't think this disk was that full, that soon this would tell me to put the destination disk back in. Aha, look at that. Look at that timing. It seems that it reads 175 blocks at a time. And as there seemed that there are 382 that are allocated, we're done. So let's catalog the disk and see if things are there. Woo! That sounded painful. Hello? Oh. Let's try that again. No, we get nothing. I wonder. I'm going to turn the 64 off. Turn it back on. See what I see. Okay, now this was, of course, the disk that we ran the performance test on. It's also the one we did the speed test, and it did say, it did say, if I want to put a scratch disk in. Oh, look at that. see, there are times that all of these drives can get kind of squirrely. Remember, this is a disk that would not load before. Okay, there's definitely an error. Oh yeah, that's an error. Okay, but remember, this is the disk that we used for the speed test, so it might have done strange things to it. It might have. Oops. Right. Load RTC. We are going to do this again. We're going to, not the copy. No. We will just format a disk. Why is it not loading? What is going on here? Oh, it is a long program, sorry. 46 blocks. Okay. So we're going to take that out. We're going to put oops. So we're telling, I'm just going to call this DDD with a ID of DD. Oh, right. Let's see if it likes that. I suspect it will. I suspect what that ended up happening is whenever it said, hey, put a disk you don't care about in there to do the speed test, that it did something squirrely to the disk. I suspect. And when this is over, this will sort of, anyway, if you find a 1541 or a 1571 or any of the drives, and you have a disk that you know is good and you tried somewhere else and it just doesn't seem to want to read, one thing you can try, which may or may not work, but it just worked on this drive, and that is you open 15, 8, 15, quote, I0, quote, colon, close 15. And that forces the drive to go and look at, I believe it's the directory. Anyway, just kind of, it's like a reset kind of a thing. Alright, what do we got? Okay, so it formatted okay. So we're okay. Anyway, this program does all kinds of neat things. It does. It was first brought into the world in January of 1984. I'm not sure who at RTC wrote it, but as I say, they usually put out good stuff. So we're going to quit. Turn off 64. Yes. I don't know why that's asking me that. Turn off 64. Okay, I'll turn it off. Maybe it does a lot of strange things to memory and other such things. I don't know. Anyway, the good news is I have a working 1571 that needs a little cleaning. So, I'll turn it off. I will turn this back on. And I will see you again because, as I said, in this box there were 5 disk drives. 5. Sorry. 6 disk drives. 5 more. I think 4 1541s and a 2031 low profile that looks just like the 1541. So, thanks for being here. I will continue to explore, and remember, soon, not today, but soon, I will start to sell things. So, if you're interested in things, let me know. I have nothing against eBay, but, you know, it might save us both a little money if there was something you needed and we sorted this out without the need of eBay and their fees and such. Anyway, so I will go get another drive and carry on. I shall. So until we meet again, thanks for coming. As you can see, by the way, my work area, which I was working on getting tidied up, is not finished. It is not. But maybe soon. Maybe. Soon. Yes. So much to do.